North Korea is the most secretive and unpredictable country in the world. It lives according to the Juche calendar, where the birth year of Kim Il-sung is taken as a starting point, so now the country is only a little over 100 years old. North Korea has legitimate hairstyles, 18 for women and 10 for men. Here, you cannot buy Coca-Cola, Mars, or blue jeans since these products symbolize imperialism. Let's see what lies behind the facade of a country with an ever-smiling leader. But before we begin, make sure you've subscribed to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated with future content. Let's start with the story about the American student Otto Warmbier, who visited this country in 2015 and was sentenced to 15 years in prison for stealing a propaganda poster. Following pressure from the international community, the North Korean authorities released the man after drugging him, and after such recuperation therapy, the student fell into a coma and died in the US. According to a brilliant comrade, the genius of geniuses and simply the leader of the Korean Labor Party, locals do not need money because the state fully provides for their needs. The monthly wage in the public sector for ordinary workers is 1,500 to 2,000 won. At the government's exchange rate, that's $12 to $25. Farmers work on a completely different principle. They receive an in-kind income as a percentage of their crops. Such a miserable profit does not even cover the need for food. According to the UN, about 70% of the population suffers from persistent food shortages. The average North Korean's diet consists of rice, wheat, and corn, and at best, they can enjoy a small piece of meat on holidays, the most important of which are the birthdays of Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung. In these circumstances, most North Koreans look for extra income, but only in their spare time. The country has 100% employment. You can face labor camps for loafing, so people work all their lives, even in retirement. The retirement age is 60 years for women and 65 years for men. Almost 85% of people in North Korea have a pension of about $30. The state takes care of pensioners and does not let them get bored. In villages, the elderly are assigned plots of land for planting crops and giving part of their harvest to the state. In cities, they are assigned yards or public areas for voluntary and compulsory service. Despite the official non-existence of private business in the country, there are quite a few large private enterprises belonging to those close to the country's top leadership, which are registered as state-owned. The workers here have a different income level, about $300 a month. They are mostly residents of Pyongyang and several large cities. At first glance, it might seem that North Korea has no inequality, but in fact, the gap in living standards between the top and bottom society classes is very high and continues to expand. Premium goods are sold in the stores for the elite, for the top 1% in so-called Singapore stores in Bugsay or Rugyong. Rich people shop there, for whom it is not a problem to spend a few $1,000s on a Chanel bag. One of the signs of North Korean prosperity is the demand for plastic surgery. One of the most popular surgeries is blepharoplasty. However, changing the shape of the eyelids and giving the eyes a European look is not so easy. Plastic surgery is prohibited in North Korea, so North Koreans are forced to go to clandestine surgery clinics. Education is also a luxury. Only about 15% of all high school graduates, mostly from privileged families, enroll in higher education. Getting into North Korean universities is difficult. Therefore, the tutoring industry blossomed. A class with a good tutor costs $10 to $30 a month, so tutors' profits are quite high. An interesting fact is that a teacher in North Korea must know how to play the accordion. This musical instrument is considered to be a folk one because you can take it with you to work in the field. North Korean luxury, of course, differs from Western-style glamour, but in a country where only 3 million of its 25 million people have cell phones, it is already the highest privilege to enjoy a delicious and hearty meal, a gym membership, and trendy loafers. In Pyongyang, there are restaurants, sushi bars, and coffee shops for rich people, where one can order a beefsteak for the same amount of money that makes the average North Korean bend over backward for 6 months, namely $50. Often in restaurants in the North Korean capital, guests eat behind bamboo curtains so foreigners cannot see what is on the plates of the local rich. The level of corruption in North Korea is one of the highest in the world. According to a report by the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, based on 214 interviews with people who have fled the country, the right to life and freedom in North Korea depends primarily on the ability to bribe government officials. Corruption has also affected the education system. A bribe greatly increases the chances of entering a university, and some schools, such as the only law school in the country at Kim-Il-sung University, are accessible without a bribe only after military service or through good connections. The threat of arrest, detention, and prosecution provides government officials with powerful ways to extort money from the public, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Michelle Bachelet said in her statement. The country practices three-generation punishment, meaning that when a person is sent to prison, his whole family goes with him, and the next two generations are born in prison. After Kim Jong-il's death, thousands of North Koreans were imprisoned in camps because they mourned the loss of their leader poorly. The number of prisoners ranges from 80,000 to 120,000. However, Kim Jong-un's regime is harsh not only on the country's citizens, but also on members of his own family. In 2013, Kim Jong-un's aunt became a victim of repression. She and her husband were among the most influential people in the country when Kim Jong-un assumed power in the DPRK. Chang Sung-taek, the aunt's husband, was considered the second most powerful person in the state during the early years of Kim Jong-un's rule. But 2 years later, he was suddenly dismissed from all posts and detained during one of the meetings. Official statements said that he had confessed to an attempted coup d'etat. He was executed immediately after being sentenced by a military court. There are few doubts about the reasons for the massacre. The influential Chang Sung-taek was perceived by the new DPRK leader as a threat to his power. North Korea was repeatedly subjected to international economic sanctions. It is believed that the DPRK derives significant revenues from the black market. To this end, the Kim Jong-un regime has a secret Department 39, a special structure that directly oversees illegal foreign trade. DPRK's illicit exports include the drug trade. Drug production in North Korea has been on the rise since the mid-1970s. The DPRK mainly specialized in synthesizing heroin from poppy seeds, but in '96, heavy rains almost completely destroyed the poppy crop, and North Korea had to find new sources of income. After re-equipping existing laboratories, the country started producing 10 to 15 tons of high-quality amphetamine, all for export. North Korea's main partner in the mid-1990s was the Japanese Yakuza mafiosi and representatives of the Chinese triads. Somewhat later, North Korea started looking for new ways of enrichment, so amphetamine was left for domestic use. According to defectors, locals use it as a stimulant for fatigue, as a painkiller, and even in the form of cold pills. Smoking marijuana is also legal. Gradually, North Korea bet on another type of illegal activity, counterfeit laundering money printed on its territory. The local francs turned out to be of such high quality that they were quickly dubbed super dollars. An examination showed that the banknotes were printed on paper identical to that used by the U.S. Federal Reserve System. Such a super dollar was first seen in 1989 in Manila. In 2016, a North Korean agent was detained in China with counterfeit $100 bills meant to be spent on electronics and household appliances. Counterfeit banknotes are decreasing today, and the ones appearing cannot boast high quality. This is due to the economic problems faced by the republic amid sanctions. In the early 1990s, Pyongyang set up the production of counterfeit cigarettes. Selling counterfeit cigarettes is a much less risky business than the drug trade. At the same time, it's extremely profitable. It costs about $70,000 to produce one standard shipping container of cigarettes. Selling such a container can generate as much as $3 million to $4 million. But by the mid-2000s, about 12 such factories were operating in North Korea, counterfeiting such well-known brands as Marlboro, Crown, Dunhill, and Mild 7. They were even shipped to the United States. Occasionally, such batches pop up. In 2006, for example, a shipment of such cigarettes worth about $3.5 million was seized in Greece. The illicit cigarette market is now valued at several $billion, and North Korea controls a significant portion of it. In the mid-2000s, Pyongyang started actively producing counterfeit drugs such as clonazepam, phenethylene, and Viagra. In 2004, the authorities of the Arab Republic arrested the importation of 150,000 of tablets of North Korean clonazepam. Yet the valiant North Koreans, led by the brilliant Kim Jong-un, launched a new product line, Neo Viagra. Brown granules claimed to be a remedy of traditional medicine. The manufacturers of the real Viagra investigated the tablet from the DPRK and stated that it could actually be effective because it contains about 50 milligrams of sildenafil, Viagra's main active ingredient. Neo Viagra is now being sold freely in the DPRK in northeast China. Of course, there's also the illegal arms trade. Indeed, North Korea possesses unprecedented experience in the maintenance, modernization, and repair of Soviet and Chinese weapons. Many of them serve to this day and are used by poor countries. The North Koreans cooperate with Somalia, Uganda, Iran, Syria, Mongolia, and several other states. Despite extensive trade geography, it is difficult to estimate its revenues due to a lack of information and the fact that some transactions are conducted under barter arrangements. For example, in 2013, Panamanian authorities detained a Cuban ship bound for North Korea. Border guards found weapons, Soviet equipment, and 2 MiG-21 fighter jets on board, which were covered with a cargo of 200,000 sacks of sugar. The Cubans said they were bringing it all into the DPRK for repair works. As technology has developed, North Korea has acquired a whole staff of its own hackers who help the authorities to get money for the country. For this purpose, the DPRK organized special units Bureau 121 and Office 91 back in '98. Currently, the Cyber Division is supposed to consist of 2,000 to 6,000 hackers. North Korean hackers gained worldwide fame in 2014 after attacking the Sony movie studio whose interview comedy drew the ire of Pyongyang. In 2016, they stole $81 million from the Bangladesh Central Bank and also hacked the Yabazan exchange, leading to the withdrawal of more than 4,000 bitcoins. The DPRK hackers are not alien to crypto mining. In 2017, attackers took over a South Korean company's server and used the power for mining. While in early January 2018, it was reported that they were spreading malware that hijacked other people's computers and forced them to mine cryptocurrency. However, the global network only serves the needs of authorities and government organizations. DPRK residents have no access to the internet. As of 2015, the number of active IP addresses with access to the internet did not exceed 1,500. However, what does it matter? After all, every North Korean household and business is equipped with a special radio that is controlled by the government and cannot be turned off. North Korea is also open to the oldest business in the world, actively participating in human trafficking. There are 2 scenarios here. Either the merchandise consists of women and girls, or North Korean workers are trafficked to work in the mining, logging, and construction industries. North Korean laborers are shipped to more than 40 countries around the world, with estimates ranging from 100,000 to 200,000 people. At the same time, workers donate the largest portion of their salaries for the benefit of the homeland and the leader. This activity contributes $1.3 billion to $2.3 billion to the country's budget annually. However, the North Korean authorities have had to shut down this type of income after UN sanctions obliged the organization's member states to expel all North Korean workers. No one can estimate this state's legal income because the country's official economic statistics were censored back in the early 1960s. It's even harder to estimate illegal income. We are curious to hear your opinion about this video in the comments. At this point, we get to the end of our video. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon and give this video a big thumbs up.